Yes, it is time for the Monday Night Delight. Wassup Flobo After Hours. And as you can tell, I'm feeling kind of fancy. Fancy AF even. But before I continue that, I just want to say thank you so much for checking us out live on all the social media networks. We're talking Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and Twitch. Drop a comment, drop a like. Let everyone know about the show because I have a very special, important guest. But I got to give a shout out to those members of the Boisterous crew. You know what I'm talking about, the people who help me up on that Patreon. You get to unlock content. Hit up patreon.com/FloboBoys, and you can also be a member of the Boisterous crew. So I have to give a big shout out to Christopher C, Christy H, ACH, Edric P, Oliver E, Matthew C, Lindsay U, and Leah H. You guys make this show a reality. But you know me, without further ado, I have this prepared statement. I gotta read this for you guys real quick. My guest tonight has wowed audiences worldwide with her appearance on the reality TV program Vanderpump Rules and is already making her hometown of Melbourne, Florida proud. She is a co-author of the book Fancy AF Cocktails, which just celebrated its first anniversary of release. Please welcome actor, friend, and fellow Flagler College Saint, Ariana Madix. How you doing?
Hi. Oh my God, what a fun intro.
So glad you could make it.
Yes, I'm thrilled to be here.
Well, this is the show. Wassup Flobo After Hours. We're just hanging out, just chatting. And if the chat wants to give Ms. Ariana some questions, please do that. But I got a question because I've been reading an article about this very subject this week. Now it's time to shut down rumors. Is that the piano in the background?
Is that what in the background?
The piano, the family heirloom.
Oh my
that
God!
you had.
This is the family heirloom piano. It still needs its facelift. So if anyone's watching, don't judge it.
I will not judge it. Yeah, I just, it's kind of interesting. Like, we have these I go back home to New York and I see my family. They have this old stereo, and I was like, man, I wish I had that part of childhood or whatever with me. But you did it. Yeah. It was pretty cool.
No, it was honestly it's one of those things. My mom still lives in my childhood home, and the piano was there. It's been there, my whole life. She's had it since the 70s, since before I was ever born. And it's just been my dream when we bought a house. I just felt like it would not be a home without a piano.
Yeah.
Because that's just how I grew up. I learned to play on this, and I just grew up listening to my dad play on this piano. And so knowing that eventually my mom will probably retire and move out of that home,
yeah,
I have to, take that. I want to take that on. And so we're going to get it tuned, we're going to get it refurbished, and it's going to be fantastic. And I'm so excited.
Oh man, this is so influencer of me, but you have to vlog it. I have to see every story.
I should be better about that stuff. I'm so bad at documenting the journey.
Yeah.
Time, and I'm like, what am I doing? I should be doing that. Yes.
Before we went live, we were talking about all the different social media channels and stuff, and I had just re-downloaded TikTok after about a 9-month hiatus, and Ariana was schooling me on how I can tailor my algorithm. So I feel such an old person. With social media apps are fine, but with TikTok, I'm just how do they do the sketches with the two costumes? I just feel so out of sorts.
Yeah, no, trust me. TikTok content is, some people are doing really incredible stuff on there. You see in the comments, they'll be like, I didn't know I got TikTok premium. This is, people are putting out actual short films that are so good.
Yeah.
My capabilities on the app are pretty low.
Okay.
But I'm like a lurker. Okay. So I spend a lot of time lurking on TikTok, liking, yeah, a lot of scrolling. There's a thing that comes up after you've been scrolling for too long that's like, hold up, you've been
Yeah.
scrolling for way too long. Go have a snack. Go get some water.
Right. Wow. That
And I
tells
want to try every day.
Yeah.
Yeah. But you gotta, the whole thing with TikTok is the algorithm is so smart that when you're on there and you're liking videos and you're interacting with the app, it really figures out what you like.
Yeah.
And I love that about it because Instagram, I feel like it's just, I don't know. It's again, it's all
Right.
stuff I really don't want to see.
It's
So.
so 2020 and earlier, you know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, it's just so
Like
back
if
there.
this conversation was happening out of context back in like 2005, 2006
Right.
at Flagler College, it would make no sense.
Yeah, it wouldn't. I remember like going to grad school and someone telling me about Twitter, and I was like, "What's that?"
Yeah.
But it's true. Like you and I both went to this, I mean, incredibly tiny college.
Tiny. Smaller
Like,
than my high school.
yeah. My high school about half the size, you know, and it was 2,500 of us, and everyone kind of knew everyone else. If I didn't know you, one person knew you. Let me ask you this question because when people tell me where I went and they go, "Where is it? Where is it in Augustine, Florida?" What drew you to going to this school now? Because now they try to promote it's Hogwarts in the South, which is not.
They really
But,
say that?
yeah, we have a Quidditch team now, and they're good. Our Quidditch team is the best in the division. If you can believe that.
Serious?
I am not making it up, Ms. Maddox. I tell you that. But what was your
It
appeal
is-
back then?
Oh my God, they would. They would.
People were on the West Lawn with the little broomsticks and they run around.
Oh my
I'm a
God.
poli sci major. Look at me. Whee! Yeah.
Oh my God. Listen, I was a theater major. I had to do mime out on the restaurant at one point, and I was so embarrassed. It was like our first thing, and I was a freshman. And of course, when you're a freshman, you don't know anyone. And this is like my first assignment, and I'm like, I'm a freshman in college. Like, I want to meet cute boys and stuff. And I'm out in the West Lawn doing mime.
I mean, you can holler at them like this.
I wish I would have. And they were all lame anyways. I don't know why I was embarrassed.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know why I wanted to impress these boys.
Right. Yeah, we were trash. I don't know why you would.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hindsight's 2020. But yeah, that's crazy to have a Quidditch team. Yeah, what drew me there? Honestly, it was a weird time. I really wanted to go. I wanted to be in New York immediately.
Mm.
And I got accepted into this acting conservatory program, but they didn't have, it wasn't an actual degree, it's a conservatory. And my parents were like, absolutely not. You have to get a degree. Because, that's kind of how we all thought at one point. And
Right.
And so I was kind of just a total brat about it. And I was like, if you won't let me go to New York, then I'm not gonna, and I dragged my feet about sending in applications to every other school. And I ended up, honestly, like, I don't know who I was kidding. Like, I was trying to stick it to my parents. But like, that was so stupid. I'm like, you stuck it to yourself by, but at the end, now looking back, I wouldn't change any of it. And
Sure.
I'm so thrilled that I did end up going there and I did have the experience I had. But, at the time, I was, I don't know. I mean, we were all a mess at that age, but. Yeah.
So at 17, 18, I guess you're my age, actually. We're day apart birthday wise. You got
Are we day apart?
Yeah, I'm June 25th. I'm also a June Cancerian.
Yes.
Yeah, I research things. You know how it is.
Oh my God.
Yeah, I didn't do Quidditch though. But like for me, going to Flagler was a little bit different because I came from I came from New York. I mean, I'm from Brooklyn, and I went down there because stupid me had a thing for palm trees, and the tuition was cheap, relatively speaking.
Yeah. Well, every year we were in that magazine talking about how it was the best school for the money, like you're getting the best for. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. There's always things to do.
That was their big selling point.
Well, you're also in the theater department, which, not to get into the whole weeds of things, it was kind of like on one end of
Yeah.
campus, and I was like a comm student, and you had comm classes too, and we were like on the
Yeah.
other end, but in the same way, we were almost like two different kinds of misfits. It was almost like theater kids were all their own school within the school. We were kind of our own school within the school. What was the best thing about the camaraderie there? Because I know a lot of times it feels like you're away at like military camp because of the accommodations.
I would say, my first roommate was a philosophy major, and she was, I think, a grade older than me. And so she really kind of was so kind in like really like helping me figure things out. And I think that was huge when I was living in the dorms.
Yeah.
And then once I moved off campus, no lie, the biggest help was that my boyfriend went to UNF.
Oh.
And my roommate's boyfriend went to UF. And so every weekend we were out of there.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because we could actually go out. Because that was the thing about St. Augustine is like, well, first of all, I was underage until like I was underage. Well, you and I are the same age, so it's like we're younger than a lot of people who are, in our grades, and so I would sneak into bars.
You can say it now. It's okay.
I don't want to be grounded. I don't want to get arrested.
Time cops show up. Excuse me, ma'am. No, it's totally fine. You can totally say that. Yeah.
We would go to like these bars in St. Augustine, but everything closed like early. It was, if you were having any kind of fun, they would shut it down. It felt like, so we were out of there as much as we could be, honestly. And that was part of, I think, how we survived. I appreciate St. Augustine so much more now as an older person.
As an older person, I actually the last time I went was like the day everything shut down. I was there in March because for Com Week they had booked me to do a comedy seminar, and they were going to cancel my event, but because it was at Potbelly's, or I think it's called whatever it's called now, Corazon Cafe. Yeah. It's called Corazon Cafe now, but it was Potbelly's back then.
Yeah,
they let it happen, but that Thursday was when they said this thing is real. Wow. So I flew back home last March, and I haven't left town yet. But that's not about me. Let's talk about you some more. So you made it to New York eventually. That must have been crazy. I mean, for actors, New York is a different vibe than LA. But was this at the time the destination, or did you have LA aspirations from the get-go?
I always hated on the idea of living in LA. I think it's like the East Coaster in me. It's, being from Florida and then dreaming of living in New York my whole life. I hated on the whole idea of living in LA. So I really wanted to try and make anything that could happen in New York. And I moved here. I'm in LA. I moved to LA eventually, but to be honest, like I was never really ready to leave New York. Ever.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
What drew you out then? The job? Or just a different scenery thing?
The job that I did with Al Thompson, I met some friends working on that job, which we'll have to kind of give a back. Okay, so long story short, I did a job with someone named Al Thompson, who's an incredible actor, director, producer, awesome. And I met some awesome people working on this job. It was a pilot or like a series that he was shooting called Tilt-A-Whirl, and we shot it in Ocean City, Maryland. And I met some people there, and they were like, listen, if you really want to make something happen, you're going to have to move to LA because, and I was like, I just love New York. And they're like, yeah, but do you want to be on TV, or do you want to do what you're doing? And as much as I was like, part of me is like, I don't want to leave, and maybe I do just want to keep doing what I'm doing because I love New York so much. Maybe it's time to put up or shut up and move to LA and see what happens. And I gave myself 10 years. Everyone says it takes 10 years doing anything to really see something happen. True. So I said, if in 10 years, I'm not leaving before 10 years in LA. If I hit 10 years and nothing's happening, then I'll do something else. And I hit 10 years October of 2020. And so I'm like, well, I guess I'm serious.
Give it up. Perseverance, man. It wins the day. Your time in New York was like 4 years? 5 years? 5 years?
Wait, what?
Your time in New York was about 5
years.
5 years.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yes,
yeah.
I would do summers there. I would go back and forth a lot and live in different NYU dorms doing the like NYU summer program.
Yeah.
And then I stayed in New York full on for like 4 years. So yeah. So 5 years total time there.
That's rad. So I was telling Ariana before we went on is that so I was in LA since 2007. So I had graduated college in 2007. I drove directly to grad school. So I've been in Southern California for 13 years and change now. Heading my 14th year, which where's my 10 year coming? But I was at a business mixer with other professionals at the time. I had the wrong mentality. I said, "Hey, I'm funny. Put me on your show." So I would go to these mixers being like, "You need me. I have no experience, no talent. I'll host it." And I met Al Thompson. He was gracious. He took a meeting. He actually took a meeting with me because I guess I had moxie. But he showed me some of the product he was working on. This is like 2011 or 12, and it was a card of Tilt-A-Whirl, and I was like, that she looks familiar. It's like, oh yeah, it's this lady we met in New York, and Mariana. I'm like, no, and I'm like hitting up the Facebook. I'm hitting up Facebook going like, wait, it told, and then
so crazy.
4 years go by or 6 years go by, nothing, and then of course everything blows up with TV and stuff. And I was like, the fact you stuck with it, I think is very inspirational. A lot of people come out here for 6 months, they quit, they go home. So respect.
There were some dark times, that's for sure.
Yeah,
and it's just crazy because one day I'll write a book. One day when I'm older and I have a little bit more life experience and maybe some more shitty things have happened to me, I'll put it all in a book.
Yeah.
But it's crazy. Like if I was to really look back at like all the things, it's easy when you look back to just kind of gloss over and you're like, well, that big thing happened. But really like all the little things of just, working so many weird jobs. I don't know if you've had like some weird jobs, but I've had some weird jobs.
Do you share some? I'm not sure if you're comfortable with that.
Sure, yeah. I was a go-go dancer in New York for a while. I used to go to bars and promote Camel cigarettes.
They still make those?
Yeah, well, yeah. And so my job doing that was you'd have this like card reader. I don't know, maybe people in the comments, maybe people watching have been at a bar and had someone approach them in like a Camel shirt and say, hey, we're doing a promotion for, at the time, the new thing was snus. And snus are these little, like, it's almost like dip, but it's in like a little pouch.
Yeah.
And the big selling point was you can do it anywhere. You can do it. And this is before vapes. They're like, you can do it anywhere. You can do it on a plane. You can, so you're never in a position where you like have to have a cigarette. And I'd be like, and I can give you this for free. I just have to scan your ID. I just have to make sure you're of age and blah, blah, blah. And someone was like, every once in a while, there'd be someone who would say, does this data get sold to insurance companies or this is weird? And I was like, no, not at all. I
just give me the ID. All right.
And then you put all the information in this reader thing. And on your shift, your job is to have at the time, our job was to have 25 IDs.
Yeah.
And funny story is I found out after the fact that data is sold to insurance companies.
I was just following orders. I had a similar gig. It doesn't exist anymore, but it was this thing called Reserve. And like almost like Uber, you put your credit card information in this app. But when you go to a restaurant, you scan your phone and then you get like your folio at the end of the night. So the idea is if you're doing lunch meetings, you have to like split the bill or anything. And you get a list of curated results for the restaurants you can make reservations for. And so it was my job to go like to Santa Monica Pier and Venice Beach and get people to download an app and use my promo code for I get credit for it. But I'm like, I told them like, you don't understand the optics of like a 230-pound black man be like, yo, download this app. Like, it's scary. Why would people do this? And it was the worst job ever. One day I called all my friends from high school and college and I was like, download this app. And I quit.
Yeah.
Got my payout and I was like, I'm out. Hey, I'm out of here.
Yeah, you're like, if you're my friend, you'll download this app so I can quit this job.
Exactly. Yeah, perseverance is the name of the thing. I appreciate you like going through it because I know sometimes like I sold hand sanitizer for a living. It was after Ebola, pre-COVID, so no one cared. So going door to door and being like,
it was like the supply and demand was
yeah,
not what it is now.
yeah. I know acting was always a thing you wanted to do, but like, let's talk about the show a little bit. Vanderpump Rules. You were working your job, and your
Yeah.
job became this thing. Was that at first like not the path you wanted? Did you like lean into it? Like, it had to be a moment there you had to think about what you wanted to do, what was happening.
Yeah, I think when I was in New York, a friend of mine who actually ended up being on another show on Netflix. He's awesome. His name's Sean Patrick Murray, and he's super talented. And he had this idea of almost like a pseudo script. It was like a reality show where we were all playing ourselves, but it was not like what reality shows are now, where it's more about being real. This idea that he had was something that was kind of like a little bit more on the half scripted side. And so I kind of got my feet wet a little bit with just kind of playing myself in these scenes, doing that, and having the storylines that we were like making, but it was completely different than what this is, what
Right.
Vanderpump Rules is.
Right.
And because it was actually just, not really real. And so when I lived in LA at this point, one of my first jobs, so I worked out at the Laugh Factory as a cocktail waitress
Oh, cool.
for a while. And that was awful.
Well, I played there. They don't treat the staff well.
Hours and hours of amazing free comedy that I got to see. The job itself was horrible. The crouching in between the rows, saying like, it's $25 minimum on a credit card, so I have to hold your card. And they're like, what? I'm like, say it any louder. There's someone performing, like, crawling away, trying to pass drinks over the row.
Flashlights, yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy. So then I started bartending at Villa Blanca in Beverly Hills, completely unaware of like the housewives in Beverly Hills and all of that. Like it just wasn't on my radar. I don't think I had cable at that point. And yeah, it's so funny because bartending had been the survival job,
Right.
It was the survival job of all the weird jobs I've had. The bartending was the survival job that I was good at, that I actually made money enough to pay my bills, and that, when I moved to LA from New York, I had a good enough resume that I was easily hireable because it's not a skill set that is so different from one place to another. People go
Right.
and the bars are pretty much all the same. So what's crazy is the survival job became the opportunity, which became the whole thing. And I probably I had ideas of like what I wanted. I wanted to be on a scripted multicam comedy. That was that's what I would have loved to have done, because multicam comedies are like math problems. When you read the scripts, the writers, when you're auditioning for stuff, like the writers are really spelling out exactly how they want it to hit, because it's multicam. So it's that like kind of like punchline, and there's the highs and lows. It's very, as opposed to single cam comedies, oftentimes are a little bit more loosey-goosey, a little bit more like the difference between New Girl and Two and a Half Men,
Right.
And those multi-cams are shot in front of live audiences, which I love. And that's kind of like something that I really wanted to do. But at the time, it's like, people don't necessarily understand that just getting auditions is a success.
True.
And getting a callback is a success. Getting good feedback, having representation to even receive that feedback, all of those things are successes. And I was kind of floating along like this with the like getting great feedback, getting callbacks, and then the job goes to Ashley Tisdale, and then getting great feedback. Oh my gosh, callback. Oh my gosh, it's down to you and one other person. And then AJ Michalka. And it's like these people who were so well known that like I didn't stand a shot. Like there was no chance for me coming in, wowing everybody's socks off, because what they want and what they need is a recognizable face that can go on that poster or that billboard, that those people who are fans of that person can go, oh my gosh, Ashley Tisdale has a new show coming out on Thursday. I'm going to watch. But if there's somebody up there that's just like, hey guys.
Yeah.
My name is Ariana. Never heard of you before. Like, no.
I can do the job on the poster. Trust me. The thing. JLJ Media says truth and continues, it's tough in Hollywood. Question I have, are you sipping a margarita there?
I am. It's National Margarita Day.
What? It's after hours. I'm doing coffee and Kahlua myself.
That's
not margaritas, but I'm definitely doing little tipsy things. So, we're talking about taking opportunities and going with it. And Vanderpump Rules becomes a success. You were there. Don't got to tell you about it. But the one thing I want to ask you, because, and I'm trying to make this not sound as like odd or fanboy as possible, but can you walk me through the first time someone asked you for an autograph? Like, how are you feeling? What were you doing? Were you like in the gym? Were you doing grocery shopping?
I mean, I'm pretty sure I was working at Sir.
Okay.
And, people, that's one crazy thing about Vanderpump Rules that's different from, I think, any other reality show, unless you're maybe like Pawn Stars. But I don't know if those guys actually are in there working like on a regular Tuesday, Right. And we would be working behind the bar, or like some of the people who were servers, happy Margarita Day, Kirsten. And that's, people know that they can go to the restaurants and see the place where the show is filmed and the people who were on it. Because at the time we were working 2-3 shifts a week. I was bouncing back and forth between, I was bartending at a club that used to be called Create. Okay. I think it's called I don't know. It's like a big warehouse like DJ thing.
Where is it? Where is it in LA?
It's Hollywood Boulevard, like just east of like east of Vine, like right where Tommy's, the burger places.
Oh yeah, that's what the Irish bar used to be back in the day.
Sure.
Fair enough.
Yeah, so I was bouncing back and forth between bartending there, and then I would bartend at Sir on like another night. And so that's what's crazy is people can come in, and sometimes we've thought like this could be like a security issue that people could just come in, but luckily nothing like bad ever happened doing that. Yeah. But yeah, working behind the bar, probably muddling mint for a mojito, and someone says, oh my gosh, can I take a picture? And it's definitely it's a really fun and surreal experience. I really like when people come up to me, unless I'm like shoveling food into my mouth, or visibly sad, or
going to the bathroom. Yeah,
right.
Give me a second.
I like it. Sometimes I'm like I've been in an airport and someone comes up and I feel really bad because I'm late and I like actually like cannot stop because I will miss my flight, and without it's not good. But I also, because I kind of like really got involved season 2, I had the opportunity to watch my friends who were on it prevalently before me, like be there together and be the person who says like, oh, I'll take a picture of you guys, and like, okay, smile. And so I remember my friend Sheena would be like, who just took your picture, right? She's going to be on that show.
Oh, coming soon.
She would say that as like a halfway way to try to convince me to do the show, and also as a way to like hype me up. And I'm like,
yeah. Well, was that a big decision though? When they said, hey, look, we think you have the moxie to be on TV, where you're like, oh, heck yeah, this is my blessing. Or you're like,
Well, it was different because the thing about being on scripted versus unscripted is because I've done both. And when you're on a scripted show, it's mostly just like it's the most exciting thing ever because you're like, I can't believe this is happening. someone has hired me to say these lines. They think I'm the
Yeah.
best person at saying these lines and doing this. And then with unscripted, whatever you say or do, that's on you. There's no character. There's no, and you can't say, even if it is an editing thing, if someone says, it wasn't really like that, that was editing. Anyone who hears you say that is just going to roll their eyes and tell you, shut the fuck up.
Right. Sure, it wasn't. It was all the editing.
Yeah, exactly. They're like, we don't believe you. And so it's like, you have to truly like, and crazy shit's happening. And it's really tough to think on your feet. And it's really, so there were definitely some reservations. I also was at the time in this like romantic situation with someone who just totally dogged anything I said or did, regardless, professionally, personally, just, it was a bad situation.
Yeah.
Scary at times. And so there were maybe like 2 years where I was just like diminishing myself and saying no to opportunities and saying no to friendships, like I was isolated from people who I'd been friends with for years. And so it got to, things reached a fever pitch and it was like, no. Right. So once I headed down that path, it was like, oh my God, like, and it took me a while to really come back to terms of like who I am.
Sure.
And when I did that, it was like, oh, I can do this.
yeah, of course. Was it a eureka moment, or was it kind of like a go away to town and recalibrate? Was it a call home moment? Because
there was an aha moment for sure. It was, I was talking to my acting teacher, Leslie Kahn. She teaches right there in La Brea. And she told me, I was like, I don't know what to do because I feel like, people say don't do reality, but this is an opportunity that I don't know. And I'm kind of struggling right now to pay the bills and I don't know what's going to happen. And she's someone who I really, really trust. And she has coached some really big people who have really made success out of their careers. And she said, is Martin Scorsese asking you to do this movie?
No.
No. She's like, then you say yes.
Wow. Yeah. When someone puts it blunt, you like that, you're kind of like, okay, don't hear me the truth that hard. Dang.
I know, right?
I was asking the question. Yeah. Did you expect it to be as big as it did? Or was it a legit surprise? Or was it like, no, I saw season 1. This is the next big thing. I'm on.
No. It's kind of weird because you kind of felt like once I got involved and it was full steam ahead, and the show was really at that point full steam ahead. Like the drama at that point was crazy. It was drama after drama after drama. But what's crazy is that like I don't think we ever stopped to think about that. Yeah. Like whether or not it was gonna just stop, or if it was gonna keep going, or if it was. And the ratings, we would see the ratings and the ratings were really good. But I think there was also this feeling of the people in charge just kind of like trusting them. And the way that they spoke about the show, they were so confident in it that I think for a while it just felt like we were just doing our thing and it just kept happening. And I mean, incredible. Like I don't even know. I feel like only when COVID hit did I feel like there was even like a time that we stopped and really thought about what the hell happened,
Yeah, that's absolutely true. But I mean, COVID hit everyone, but differently. I mean, how was it on your ends? I mean, things are rocking and rolling. We know we were on to stop. So
yeah,
lockdown for 12 months. What has been your 2020 to 2021?
In some ways, there were definitely things that I feel like we had time to work on projects that I think would have been really stressful otherwise. There are definitely some silver linings. There are definitely some blessings in disguise there. But, normally we normally started filming in like May of every year. And so, mid-March happens, everything down, and we're thinking, okay, maybe by May, And then in May we're thinking more like June, July. And then June, July was like, we're thinking more like October. And then
Right.
October we're like, it's like, we'll get back to you.
Yeah, exactly. ... Yeah.
Yeah. So it's just been, it's definitely 2020 definitely hit hard because 2019 I think was a huge year for me personally and professionally, and then 2020 a lot of stuff just kind of stopped, and so there were some opportunities that definitely came about that were extremely helpful in times where things were really maybe unstable in a way.
Sure.
But nothing is like filming, and so fingers crossed that that's something that, yeah, LA is locked down. So it's, I got a Citizen app notification.
Oh no, don't do that. Citizen app will make you paranoid about everything. Don't do that. Why?
I love the sound it makes. It's like, dun, dun, dun. Like it's really, oh God, what's happening? And it's like, there's a man with a machete. And I'm like,
yeah.
cool.
It's like missing Chihuahua alert.
Yeah. But it said today that they're thinking that things are slow roll open back up. So
True.
Fingers crossed that that happens,
Shout out to Lars Newt, man. No, you cool, bruh. Well, here's the thing. I was thinking about this. A lot of times with LA specifically, if you don't live in LA in Los Angeles, it's very easy to like say, oh, they're a bunch of creators and actors. They'll get over it. And I said this a lot on different episodes of the show that, I am a stand-up comedian by trade. I do these hosting, these podcasts. Over the quarantine, I was opened up into the world of video game casting, and it changed my life. It's so much fun. Like being a commentator for esports, like it makes me feel 20 years younger. But I had to deal with like the world literally saying your pursuit and craft is non-essential. You don't know how crushing that could be to be like, oh yeah, you're fine.
But that's
like,
thing that you've been working on for like 15 years.
yeah, it's just like, oh, well, now what I do. So I'm totally with you when it comes to that, because it's like, all right, find out what's important, what the things you like, the things that were stressing you out don't matter, things that you realize do matter. Any highlights over the past 12 months you'd like to share?
Celebrating the 1-year anniversary of our book, Fancy AF Cocktails. That was really exciting. Because that was something that actually was a quarantine thing. We were so our book came out December 3rd, 2019.
Mm-hmm.
We did our whole book tour, all of our press tour, everything. We got to do the Kelly Clarkson show, which, like, as a 35-year-old woman, I fully remember like watching her win American Idol. So that was like huge, doing that. And so, sorry, my dogs are like running downstairs. You hear them all. Hi, cutie. Oh my gosh, I was gonna grab her, but she's very far away. So we got to do that, and then everything stopped, and we were really, stressed. I think there's really no point in me even saying like depressed, stressed. We know.
Yeah,
we're still living it. Yeah. And so, silver lining that happened was that because people couldn't go to bars and couldn't go to restaurants, they actually opened up our book and started really making cocktails at home, like really tagging us in the photos. And it was so cool because I love a cookbook, but how often am I going to actually cook out of the book? Not often. So people actually really, get into it. And there was a girl the Instagram was Fancy AF Lockdown Cocktails, and she worked her way through the whole book. And honestly, like it would bring me to tears some days, because it would be like, having a hard day, struggling with everything, and then to see that, like, that was something that was just really awesome.
It's funny that people say we entertainers, creatives, we do things for the fame, and it's not necessarily that. But when you see that you could impact someone's life, even on a small level. I mean, like my birthday this year was a big one. I'm sure you had one too. The day before,
Yeah.
I had a special edition birthday version of one of my T-shirts. Like my T-shirt was white, but this one was like gold. And people came out and bought it because it was my birthday to celebrate with me, because we were on lockdown. And like I'm sitting at home like bawling, be like, "Oh, you really love it. You bought my gear. I can't."
You really love it.
Exactly, right here, right now. You love, and it's just it is a surreal experience, because there's times when I'm sure you're at your head down working, you're going, I'm working, or if I'm doing a wrestling podcast and I see 3 people in the chat, but I'm going to give you the show anyway, whatever. But then when someone says, "Hey, you made my day better. I hated my day, but you made it like an improvement," that means a lot to me, in the world to me. But the book itself, Fancy AF Cocktails, isn't just a book of recipes. It is like a vibe. There's like glamour shots. There's like stories around it. Like I was like, I had a virtual version. I'm like, oh dear, okay. So not only is it, you guys are Fancy AF, the drinks are Fancy AF too. Got to ask you the cliche question: what's your favorite?
Oh man, it depends. Honestly, that answer changes. I really love. We have like a collection of margaritas. And I think because there's a cucumber pomegranate margarita that I love. Also, the berry margarita, fantastic. Yeah. And you're saying you're doing Kahlua. We have a couple hot drinks in there that are so good. The dumpling, that's a good one. It's got some oat milk in there. And
my godfather's all about those. I love me a hot toddy, he would say.
Yeah.
That's great. Yeah, you got to check it out. Fancy AF Cocktails. I have the virtual version. I don't think I have the skills to mix, but you make it super easy. So basically, it's just me making excuses for myself.
You can do it. For sure, you can do it. Once you get it down, there's kind of like a rhythm to it. As a bartender, there's like a rhythm, there's a flow. Once you get it down, you'll notice like, oh, a lot of drink recipes kind of do the same thing.
Is there a sequel coming, or is like a whole different thing, or we can't even talk about that?
Fingers crossed. Listen, we're working on getting that together, because we really want to do another book. Me, Tom, and Danny, all 3 of us want to do another book. And with the success of the first book, it's like, why not? So I think, we have a bunch of recipes and of course, crazy life stories and things like that. Yeah. I think the real challenge for the next book is just figuring out how do we tie it all together? What's the hook,
Again, so I'm not so familiar with the Vanderpump Rules world. I'll be completely honest with that. I skim some episodes. Usually I'll be at a bar. I'll be something like a bar, a barber shop, like an amusement park, being like, hey, is that? But I can tell you, thumbing through the page of this book, I'm like, okay, are you guys like spies, like traveling the world James Bond style? Like, Cuba, Japan. All right, that's all kind of fancy. Is there anything left on your travel bucket list? Is there any other countries you want to hit when things open up?
Yeah, majorly. I want to go and stay in one of those igloos. I think they're in Finland. I really want to see the Northern Lights. I really want to go to. There's so many places I want to go. Where do I not want to go? Honestly, I've never been to South America.
Ooh.
I've been to Mexico, but that's not South America. It's Central America.
Nope. It's North America.
I've been to Honduras. That doesn't.
Yeah.
That's. I mean, like down here.
Buenos Aires, Santiago.
I want to go to Africa, South America. There's so many places in Asia that I've never been to. Thailand. I really want to go to Thailand. Gosh, I mean, honestly, with COVID, I'm like, I want to go to Michigan. I don't know.
People in Michigan right now are going, what?
Anywhere. I'll go anywhere.
It's the middle of February. Why?
Like give it a bit. Then I'll go to
So I have a bit of a surprise for you, Ariana, because you've been cool AF on this show. So we mentioned at the top of the show that you and I are both Flagler Saints, class of '07. Can't believe it's so much years ago. We owe, but it's okay.
Still undefeated.
Yeah, our football team is still undefeated, but our Quidditch team is somehow still top of the division.
That still kills me. I can't with that. That's too much.
So I've asked around to some of our schoolmates. I can't call them classmates because that school's small, and asked them, hey, if you have any questions for Ms. Madix, ask you. So you're going to hear some questions from actual Flagler graduates, schoolmates, or whatever. Do you want to know who they're from? I can do that, or I can say keep it random.
Yeah, tell me who they're from.
Okay, cool. Starting number one. This one's for me, actually. Best part of Flagler College, the Breezeway desk, the Breezeway, or the Panama Hatties?
Panama Hatties. The Breezeway was literally negative degrees. Like almost at all times, I felt like the Breezeway was below freezing. So Panama Hatties for sure.
Ellie Baggett asks.
I love it.
I'm not sure what this means. You have to walk me through this. She goes, do you still remember how to do the Thriller dance from Dance Rose? And do you still have any interest in dance?
Yes, I have interest in dance still. Although I have to work on my like TikTok moves because I feel like that's where dance is at right now. And it's very different from what we were doing. And yes, I absolutely remember that Thriller dance. So remember, I was on the dance team and we did a Thriller dance out on the West Lawn.
The same place you mimed.
The same place I mimed. Really, honestly, a really important place for me, the West Lawn. And yeah, I still remember it. I think we did also not just Thriller, but we did Thriller, and then we also did that Rama Lama Ding Dong Rant Bam Bing Bong.
Yeah.
It was a popular song at the time.
You gotta convince me. I believe it.
I promise.
I can't dance myself, so I totally relate. But you still have interest in dance? I mean, I appreciate the faith when it comes to mixing cocktails and dancing, but I can tell you,
you're like one thing at a time. Okay?
This is also from LA. She asked, "What do you think you have gained going to a small school versus a mega state school?"
Oh man. I think I gained an appreciation for. Okay, listen. I don't think I would have really wanted to go to like a mega state school, to be honest.
Right.
I think that I gained an appreciation for them, for the big state schools in a way. And I really think that because we had such close proximity to UF and UNF, there's a way to kind of like, I wish I could have combined them, honestly. I wish I could have kind of had a bit of the Flagler, like gone back to the home base of St. Augustine and its beauty and its, homey feel. But I still wish I could have had some of those big school experiences and also like the functionality of a bigger school. I'd like to, in my imagination, believe that it knew how to function a little bit. But I think that our small class size and the way that our school was run, I feel like we were able to experience different areas. It wasn't just your comms major. You're completely. There were opportunities to kind of get in there and experience different parts of the school or the community, like going to those. Like they would have those discussion things sometimes, like where you would sit in that one classroom in
the Flagler Forum series.
Yes, and you could go and argue about how George Bush sucks to some, Republican.
Right, yeah.
Which is like what I would do on in my free time, or you could. I just feel like you were able to bounce around. And maybe it's also just because it was like it's a liberal arts school. And, I was able to take like some fine arts classes as like just for funsies. And I think that was cool too. So there's pros and cons for sure. But I think that looking back, it's like, well, if I changed that, then maybe it would have changed everything else, and I don't want that. So
Yeah, I'm kind of in the same boat. Like when I left Flagler, I was like jailbreak. But I do kind of miss the fact I can't go to like a random site and buy like gear. I feel like go to like the legacy site to show my pride. But yeah,
yeah.
well, might as well not change anything. Uh, Jeff Garrison asks,
Whoa, I haven't
what
heard that name in a long time.
he says, "What's up?" By the way, he says, "What do you miss most about St. Augustine, and what will be your first stop the next time you're in town?" So, what do you miss most about it? What will be the first stop when you return?
I kind of I just miss the it's so old, but like in the most beautiful way. You know, the fort. I miss looking at it. I miss
Yeah,
the old. So I lived in Lincolnville, and I had that like I had one of those old like Victorian revival houses that we lived on the bottom floor, and you have the Spanish moss on the trees, and you're going down like those streets, and you're just seeing like these old, Victorian revivals homes with the front porches and the Spanish moss hanging, and then you have like these super old Spanish style buildings, like and you have the Lightner, and it's just so beautiful. Like you can just walk around St. Augustine, and it's stunningly beautiful. And I think that, oh my God, thank you. Oh my God, Tom just brought me a cocktail.
Wait,
ooh, that's fancy.
Oh, okay.
Yo, Tom's hand made my show. You see this guy? Clip it out. That is Tom's head of his hand.
Wait, there you go.
Hey, that's
Whoa.
popping the ratings.
Yeah, woo, he's here. He's feeding their dogs. And
Yeah, that's cool.
so yeah, I miss just the beauty of it and like that old Florida feel of
Yeah.
that type of, I don't know how to say it, like natural splendor, I guess. And next time I go, my first stop is just to go stand in that rotunda and go like this. Just look at it. Okay.
Yes, Derek, the town is haunted. There's a lot of
Definitely
history
haunted.
there.
For sure haunted. Yeah.
Your friend Megan Daly asks if you.
I love her so much.
Before I understood about style, Megan had it. You know what I'm saying?
That's right. That's right.
That's right. I love the fact that she always coordinated her color palette, jewel tones, what they call it.
Yeah.
And she wrote a short story called "Gotta Dance." It's stuck in my head after all these years. She asks, if you could be on any other reality show, past or present, which season of Rock of Love with Bret Michaels would you be on and why? These are the questions. I just asked them.
Of course she says something absolutely fucking hilarious. Season 1.
OG season.
Yeah.
And someone that wants to be called William Flight
Oh my God.
asks, are aliens real?
Yes. Duh.
Really? Duh. With emphasis. Yeah. Okay. And lastly, she also asks, William Flight,
Right,
he
sure, yeah.
asks, New York City or LA?
Oh, New York. Nothing beats New York. I'm sorry. I've been in LA for 10 years. Nothing beats New York.
Would you be bi-coastal?
If I was rich as fuck, yeah.
Yo, why not, right? If I got the other properties or whatever.
Yeah, people who are really rich, I mean, that's great for them, you know. But yeah, would I absolutely listen? The things that have happened in LA could have never happened anywhere else, and it took me a while to find my footing here, and I do love LA, and I love getting up and. It's beautiful. The Groundhog Day of it's so beautiful.
Right. Every day. I want something ugly.
Like, what tank top do I put on today? But there's just something about New York that just could never be duplicated. So if you can hang in New York and you can if you can deal with the weather and you're surviving and you're thriving in New York, then fuck yeah.
Yeah. I just want to say for those of you listening on the audio version, the chat just loves the aliens. I had no idea there were so many alien believers.
And I gotta refresh my comments here.
Kirsten's doing the okay, cool. That's what's up.
Yeah, definitely.
This has been a lot of fun, Ariana. And what's going on, Tom? Cheers, man. Cheers. There we go. Fancy AF. Get the book. How you doing? Hanging out tonight? Dinner time soon?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. This is a Saint Germain drink foam that I made the other day.
And that's in the book.
No, new. It's got to go in volume 2, the sequel, the squeakquel.
Oh, the squeak. I love it. And when it comes out, I'll be the first one to buy it. I'm going to ask you specifically for an autograph to see you're weirded out.
That's happening. Also, you don't have to buy it. We'll send you one.
No,
I appreciate it, man. Thank you so much for being on the show, Ariana. Where can the world keep up with all the stuff, all the TikToks? You and Tom, why not? Where they can...
Listen, I'm Ariana252525 on Instagram. I'm Ariana Madix on TikTok. I do have a Twitter. I don't really use it, whatever. Hate Facebook. And I gotta get on the Twitch situation. I'm gonna ask you for your advice when that time comes.
Oh, let's definitely do this. But this does it for me. Is What's Up Flobo After Hours, your slice, your Monday night delight. We'll be back here next week. But until next time, After Hours are closed.
The bed is still the land.